You've probably seen movies where pirates sail the seas, hunting for treasure, fighting epic battles, and living wild, free lives. But did you know that the real pirates of the Caribbean were far different from what Hollywood shows? In this video, we'll dive into the true stories behind those legendary pirates and reveal what their lives were actually like. Spoiler alert, it wasn't all fun and games. Hollywood has created a swashbuckling image of pirates, with characters like Captain Jack Sparrow making us think that piracy was an adventurous and glamorous life. But the reality was much harsher. Pirates had to deal with brutal conditions, fierce battles, and a constant fight for survival. So how did the real pirates live? What drove them to choose such a dangerous life? And how much of what we see in movies is actually true? We're about to uncover the true story of the Caribbean pirates, from their rise during the golden age of piracy to their eventual decline. Ready to separate fact from fiction? Let's find out. Let's talk about Hollywood's version of pirates. Think about the epic sword fights, buried treasure maps, and rum-soaked parties on tropical islands. Characters like Captain Jack Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean have made us believe that being a pirate was one big, adventurous thrill ride. These movies are full of exciting chases, daring escapes, and clever schemes. In Hollywood, pirates are often seen as lovable rogues who outsmart the authorities and live by their own set of rules. They have their own pirate codes, secret hideouts, and they always seem to find a way to come out on top. We see them swinging from ropes, dueling with shiny swords, and finding hidden treasure chests filled with gold and jewels. It's all very exciting and makes for great entertainment. But here's the catch. Most of these things are more fiction than fact. Real pirates didn't have it nearly as glamorous. They faced many challenges and dangers that Hollywood tends to gloss over. So let's dig deeper into what the real pirates of the Caribbean were like and see how their lives compared to the movie versions. The golden age of piracy took place between the 1650s and 1720s. This period was when piracy in the Caribbean was at its peak. The Caribbean Sea was the perfect spot for pirates because of the rich trade routes passing through. Ships loaded with treasures from the New World, like gold, silver, sugar, and tobacco, sailed these waters, making them prime targets for pirates. During this time, several key pirate havens emerged. Port Royal in Jamaica was known as the wickedest city on earth, filled with pirates and their loot. Tortuga, near Haiti, was another famous pirate base, as was Nassau in the Bahamas, which later became the capital. These places were where pirates could find safe harbor, sell their stolen goods, and enjoy their spoils. But why did piracy thrive during this time? Europe was going through many wars, and after these wars ended, many sailors found themselves out of work. The promise of riches and freedom lured them to piracy. The Caribbean was also a hotbed of colonial competition, with Spain, England, France, and the Netherlands all vying for control. This political and economic instability created the perfect environment for piracy to flourish. The Caribbean during the golden age of piracy was a buzzing center of trade and colonization. European countries like Spain, England, France, and the Netherlands were all setting up colonies and trading posts. The main products coming out of the Caribbean were sugar and tobacco, which were in high demand in Europe. These goods were valuable, and their trade routes made the Caribbean a prime target for pirates. Spain was the dominant power in the region, with many colonies and major cities like Havana, Cartagena, San Juan, and Santo Domingo. Spanish ships were loaded with gold and silver from the New World, making them very attractive to pirates. But it wasn't just treasure that pirates were after. They also targeted ships carrying everyday goods, and even people, as slaves were transported to work in the colonies. As England and France started to grow stronger economically, they too began establishing colonies in the Caribbean. This led to a lot of competition and conflict. The Dutch, on the other hand, were more focused on the spice trade in the East Indies, but they still had a presence in the Caribbean. This mix of booming trade, valuable goods, and political rivalry created the perfect storm for piracy. The constant movement of ships loaded with treasure and goods, combined with the instability of colonial powers fighting for control, meant that pirates had plenty of opportunities to strike and make a fortune. Before pirates became the scourge of the seas, there were privateers. Privateers were essentially legalized pirates, hired by governments to attack enemy ships. Nations like England and France used privateers to weaken their rivals, especially Spain, by disrupting their trade and stealing their valuable cargoes. Privateers had official permission, known as a letter of marque, which allowed them to raid enemy ships without being considered criminals. During times of war, privateers played a crucial role. They helped their nations by capturing enemy ships and bringing in goods and riches. This was a win-win situation. The privateers got to keep a share of the loot, and the rest went to the government. It was a way for countries to wage economic warfare without deploying their navies. But what happened when the wars ended? Many privateers found themselves out of a job, and with the skills and ships they had, turning to piracy was an easy transition. They already knew the trade routes, how to handle a ship, and how to fight. Without the backing of a government, they became outlaws, attacking any ship they thought would bring them profit. These experienced seafarers brought with them knowledge and tactics that made them formidable foes on the high seas. So what was it really like to be a pirate? It wasn't the glamorous life we see in movies. For many pirates, it was a tough, dangerous, and often short-lived career. Most pirates were former sailors who were tired of the harsh conditions and low pay in the Navy. Piracy offered a chance at a better life, with more freedom and higher pay. A pirate ship was run more democratically than a Navy ship. Crewmates got to vote on important decisions and had a say in how the loot was divided. The captain was just one of the crew, not a dictator. Pirates had a code of conduct known as the Pirate Code, which everyone had to follow. Some of the rules included the right to vote, the right to bear arms, and a fair share of the loot. But there was also strict rules against gambling, stealing, and bringing women on board. Breaking the Pirate Code could result in severe punishment, like being marooned on a deserted island or even death. The life of a pirate involved constant danger. They faced brutal battles, not the fun sword fights you see in movies. Pirates used any means necessary to capture their targets, including torture. Food was scarce and often consisted of hardtack, a type of dry biscuit, and whatever they could steal. Scurvy, a disease caused by lack of vitamin C, was common, and the ships were dirty, filled with flies and maggots. Despite these hardships, many pirates preferred this life to the strict and unfair conditions in the Navy. They valued their freedom and the chance to make their own rules. For many, the pirate life, with all its risks, was worth it for the chance at freedom and fortune. Let's take a look at some of the most famous pirates who sailed the seas. First, there's Blackbeard, real name Edward Teach. He was known for his terrifying look, tying slow-burning fuses into his beard and lighting them during battles. This made him look like he had smoke and fire around his face. Blackbeard was a fierce and skilled pirate, but he met his end in a battle with the British Navy. Next is Black Bart, also known as Bartholomew Roberts. He captured more than 400 ships, making him one of the most successful pirates ever. Black Bart was strict about the pirate code and ran his ship with a democratic style where everyone had a vote. Anne Bonny and Mary Read were two famous female pirates. They sailed with Captain Calico Jack and were known for their fighting skills. Even though many pirate ships didn't allow women, Anne and Mary proved they were just as tough as any man. Lastly, many pirates were former slaves who found freedom on pirate ships. By the early 1700s, about 30% of Caribbean pirates were black. These pirates experienced a sense of equality and freedom on their ships that they couldn't find elsewhere. These notable pirates show that piracy was diverse and filled with brave individuals who became legends through their daring and defiance. Piracy couldn't last forever. By the 1720s, the golden age of piracy was coming to an end. There were several reasons for this decline. First, powerful navies like the British and the French started cracking down on pirates. They sent warships to hunt them down and captured many of the most notorious pirates. Public executions of captured pirates served as a warning to others. Second, governments realized that peaceful trade was more profitable than constant warfare and piracy. They started offering pardons to pirates who agreed to give up their criminal ways. Many pirates took these deals, choosing a safer life over the constant risk of death or capture. Lastly, the growth of stronger colonial governments in the Caribbean made it harder for pirates to find safe havens. Places that once welcomed pirates, like Nassau, became controlled by authorities who were determined to drive them out. The end of piracy wasn't dramatic. It was more of a slow decline as the risks began to outweigh the rewards. By the mid-1700s, piracy in the Caribbean had mostly disappeared, leaving behind stories and legends of daring and danger. The real pirates of the Caribbean were far from the swashbuckling heroes we see in movies. They were tough, ruthless, and lived hard lives filled with danger and uncertainty. The real stories of these pirates show us a world where the search for freedom and fortune came with incredible risks. So would you have what it takes to be a real pirate of the Caribbean? If you enjoyed this look at the truth behind pirate myths, make sure to like and subscribe for more fascinating history content. Thanks for watching.